Hey, welcome to Prophecy Roundtable. We have been having an incredible time in the book Revelation. We got through, I think, mostly Revelation 17 last week. We're going to continue on into 18. And as always, there's so much to talk about. We're going back and forth because, well, that's just kind of the nature of the book. But we're going to dig deep and we're going to try to analyze this question of Babylon, Jerusalem, who's getting destroyed, what's going on, different perspectives. And as always, we welcome your questions, your comments, and your thoughts, and we'll do our best to get to them. So, shall we just dive right in, Scott? What do you say?
Sure. I didn't realize we even got close to being finished with chapter 17
Well,
last
it's
year.
okay. We can go back, and
Okay.
that's all part of the fun. So, let me just take us back there. So, let's see here. If I can get my computer to work. All right, there we
Maybe.
go. All right. So where did we get? We got to I think
I,
we got to like
I forgot.
7 kings, 5 have fallen. I thought we got through like 11. So maybe we got
Pretty
through
sure
like
we got
11.
around there. So,
All right. So as for the beast who was and is not, it is an eighth, but also belongs to the seven, and it goes to destruction. All right. So I see this as Nimrod, who was a long time ago, and then various kings and or kingdoms came right behind him. So I would say Nimrod started the but the old Babylonian kingdom, followed by the Assyrian, aka Akkadian kingdom. Then came the Neo-Babylonian kingdom, then the Medo-Persian kingdom, then Greece, right? So that's 5 have fallen. And it says one is, that would be Rome. And whoever came after them, I don't know, maybe the Ottoman Empire, perhaps. I'm not quite sure on that one. And then we're coming up now to full circle, coming back to Nimrod, the beast that was, is not, and will ascend. That's how I see that. Well, what's your perspective?
mm, well, obviously, I believe Rome was the one in effect at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't believe Rome falls until the end. So I kind of, mm, 7 kings, one has fallen, one is, that's Rome.
Yeah. I mean, one way
That's
to look
number
at it
six.
is
So
you have the,
the seventh is sort of the
yeah.
last one, but I think it's the culmination of the beast, where the beast is let out of the abyss. Your understanding is that sort of like I don't want to say a reincarnation of Nimrod, but however it might happen.
Yeah.
So the sixth was Rome, so we're really only waiting for the seventh, and which is also so the beast which was and is not is himself also an eighth, and is one of the seven. So it's this is one that I would not be too dogmatic on.
No, I hear you. And I hear you. I mean, one way to look at Rome, because Rome did split in two, right? So you had
Mm-hmm.
the eastern and western legs. And I think that's what the statue in Daniel chapter 2 was all
Mm-hmm.
about, right? We had the head of gold that represented the Neo Babylonian kingdom, followed by the torso of bronze, right?
But
So that would be Greece,
mm,
excuse me, Medo Persia, my
yeah,
bad.
because the two arms, because it
Yeah,
was two different
Medo
names.
Persia, right? Yeah, Medo Persia, and right, because there you have two again, right? And then followed by the torso of bronze,
Greece.
right? And then which is Greece, and then we have the two legs, which would represent Rome. I think that's incredible because no matter how you look at it, not you, but the skeptics out there that say that, oh, Daniel was written late and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but look, Daniel predicted it. It foreshadowed this whole idea of Rome splitting in two. I think that's incredible,
Mm-hmm.
and it very clearly did. Right, it's very very clearly. You had Rome in the west, and you had Byzantine in the east, surviving until what 1200 roughly, 1300 somewhere in there.
And then it was just swallowed up ultimately by Islam. And so again,
Right.
Rome has not went away. Rome split into east and west.
Right.
Rome is still split into East and West. You've got
Yeah. I.
Westernized Roman Christianity, and you've
Yeah.
got the lands that used to make up ancient Rome,
Yeah.
Egypt, the Levant, Turkey, etc., that are all Islam. So you still have the East and the West. They're still
True.
there.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you. You could argue though that the seventh could be the Ottoman Empire. I think that's at least a possibility. It's a candidate.
I think the seventh is the final one.
Well, maybe. So, but then this king. So you're right. But the king he belongs to this group called the Seven, and then he becomes the eighth numerically of this group called the Seven. So it's kind of like having the G20, and then let's say somebody gets booted out and then they get back in or something like that. I mean, different ways to look at this, but it certainly makes you think, doesn't it? All right, and the 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour together with the beast. These are of one mind, and they hand over their power and authority to the beast. They'll make war on the Lamb, and the Lamb will conquer them, for he is Lord of Lords, King of Kings, and those who are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would go back to, again, actually, let's just go there to Daniel chapter 2, because we really can't appreciate this passage without going back to Daniel chapter 2. So Daniel has this dream, of course. I think most of us understand this. I mean, we were familiar with it anyway. You saw, O king, and behold, a great image. This image, mighty and exceeding brightness, stood before you, and its appearance was frightening. The head of this image was of fine gold, its chest and arms silver, middle and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You looked and saw a stone was cut out by no human hand, and it struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, and the bronze, the silver, and the gold all together was broken in pieces and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away so that not a trace of them could be found. But the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. And so he goes on to tell them, and he says, right, inferior kingdom will come after you, and yet a third of bronze, which will rule over all the earth. That would be the Greek Empire. And the fourth will be strong as iron. That's the Roman Empire. And this one is really interesting. You saw feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, as we divide the kingdom. But some of the firmness of iron shall be put in it, just as you saw iron mixed with soft clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly brittle. As you saw the iron mixed with soft clay, they will mix with one another in marriage, so they say, but they will not hold together, just as iron does not mix with clay. So this is the ESV. My software kind of got weird. I do enjoy the New King James for what it's worth, but the Aramaic here, excuse me, is mit arvin. It says that they will mingle, right? So you have somebody who's going to mingle with the seed of men. Now look, men being humankind here, humankind mixing with humankind is not a big deal. I mean, it's cool. I think it's pretty awesome how God created us. However, it's pretty mundane. It's pretty, everyday kind of stuff. So there's got to be something different. And this is where some Bible commentators who really don't like the supernatural at all and get kind of weirded out by anything that might be spiritual or demonic or sounding like giants too much. They're like, oh, this is just, humans marrying other humans. But I think that entire interpretation, when it kind of goes back to the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain idea, it becomes very racist, because it suggests that one nation is going to marry a different nation, and that's going to cause all kinds of trouble. But I just don't think that's the case. I would take a much stronger argument here, which is that these kings, in the days of these kings, they will meet arvin, they will mingle, and it's the reflexive. So they're doing it, they themselves are doing it. They're going to mingle themselves with the seed of men, and they will not cling one to another, as iron does not mix with clay. So that is, I think the force of what's going on here, in other words, you're going to have some kind of fallen angel demonic activity that's happening, and they're going to try to mingle with the seed of men. And this is what I talked about in Encrypting the Image Volume 1, where you have all of these the hypnotic regressions of people who claim, now whether they really did, I don't know, but there's hundreds of people that claim and have been interviewed by Dr. David Jacobs, by John something out of Harvard, and between the two of them, they interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people that claim to have been abducted by so-called aliens or grays, whatever you want to call them. And they did some really weird things. They were taking samples of sperm or eggs. They would peer into their eyes. I mean, it was really weird. So, whether you believe that or not, dear listener, the evidence is still there that these people claim it happened. And it sounds kind of like what is going on here in Daniel chapter 2. I mean, it's strange.
Yeah, and Chuck Missler was probably, at least he was one of the first that I ever heard teach that, as far as this mingling with a supernatural. Christopher just had put up here about how the iron and clay could be the example of man merging with machine, AI, this transhumanism that we're hearing about, in which you can become immortal by uploading everything up into the cloud. And then Melissa, Jay Brown, Melissa, who's been on before, and we were discussing this, not this passage, Doug, on Tuesday, but we were talking about the 10 lost tribes. In other words, that the clay being his people, and as he points out, he is the potter, we are the clay, is the mixture amongst the lost tribe, amongst the house of Israel within the Roman system, and I do believe Rome is essentially going to be one of the things about Joel Joel Blackford, when he used to be on with us, he had this interesting theory about the technocrats. I don't personally think necessarily there's going to be 10 technocrats or these 10 kings, but I can certainly see this fascist system. People don't really understand fascism. They talk about, oh, Trump's a fascist. Well, to a certain extent, yeah, and so was Obama, and so was. So, anytime these big companies have gotten so big that they're bigger than the nations or the nation they're in, and that's who's really sort of running the world to a certain extent, them and the bankers and the money. That's fascism when government partners with these corporations. And so I can see that Joel's theory on this, as far as the 10 kings being 10 technocrats or 10 type of companies, it's not crazy for cuckoo puffs like Sundust. But but on that issue, or it could be, they've had these plans a long time to divide up the world into these 10 regions, a one world government with these 10 regions. I can see how all these different theories, it may not be just this or this or this. It could be this and potentially this and potentially this. And we are seeing things unfold in which, they're talking about man essentially merging with machine and becoming immortal. Where, your understanding on how this is machines may be involved. And I believe they have to be involved because Satan, the beast, will not be omniscient and omnipotent. They're going to rely upon technology to control the monetary system.
Yeah.
So I can see how everybody could be a little bit right. Joel could be correct as far as the AI and the technocracy and things of that nature. You could be correct. Melissa could be correct in that this represents the 10 tribes that have been scattered all throughout Rome. Rome now being worldwide, this final beast system. And I believe, that's sort of it hasn't taken on its final form yet. But we're sure getting close with the United Nations and everything like that. We are certainly getting very close to this finally happening, them being able to take over. I don't know whether it'll be a natural disaster. I don't know whether it'll be a man-made, something akin to COVID, but, I don't know if it'll be nuclear war. Something's got to bring the world together. I don't know if it'll be aliens.
Maybe it's the two witnesses. There's an
Yeah.
idea.
Well, and again, it could be the two witnesses and the aliens and all this stuff happening during the final 3.5 years.
Well, again, the basis of my argument is that the two witnesses are going to be viewed as hostile aliens. And then it's going to be the so-called good aliens, which is Satan and all of his dudes. They're going to come in and save the day. I think it's a very, very, very plausible theory because, the two witnesses are coming. And when they come with superpowers, how is the world going to view them? I mean, they're humanoid, sure, but they are not regular humans, and nobody can stop them. No one can keep them from putting these plagues on the earth. The world hates them. See, this is where I think so much of dispensational theology or eschatology made them kind of a sideshow. They were just sort of this appendix, this footnote in the book of Revelation. They're like, oh yeah, then there's Revelation 11. We don't know what to do with this thing, but I guess these two weird guys show up, and we'll put them in the book, but we're not going to really talk about them because they weren't sexy. But I think they're the catalyst, and I think they're going to bring the world together. Ronald Reagan said, he often imagined what would how we would all come together and forget our differences if we were fighting against some galactic enemy. Yes, I think he's completely right. And I think this is where Satan has been quietly setting the stage. He doesn't know when God will raise the curtain, but he can have all the props on the stage so that when it does happen, he's ready to go. He has a very, very good explanation. Oh, those two witness guys, yeah, they're really powerful and they work for a really powerful dude. He's not all powerful, and yeah, he had something to do with the creation of mankind. But hey, I've been around a long time too, and I've been fighting for your rights. I've been trying to free you guys. All he wants to do is enslave you. I mean, talk about a cover story. It's really
Yeah,
amazing.
we don't disagree on that except the timing.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, again, I'm seeing what you're saying, that could be the explanation for the two witnesses. That could be the explanation for all of a sudden when the Spirit, I believe that when the Spirit is poured out during the Great Tribulation, much like it was during the early ecclesia, when Peter when handkerchiefs were healing people, and so you're going to have this supernatural battle going on in which people will literally be empowered, much like Paul was, or Peter was, or the early apostles, and like Yeshua was. You might have people getting killed and then being resurrected. You could have people that are sick. You could see the blind. The supernatural through Yeshua, through faith in Yah. Showing these healings and things like this. In other words, I believe it's going to be. It's going to be a pick your side. It's just during this time period, I believe one side's going to be you need to repent of your sexual immorality. No, little boys cannot be little girls. You're a pervert. You need to repent. You need to stop engaging in these actions. You need to quit worrying about greed. You need to do all these things. And it's going on simultaneously. And that's the only thing we differ on. As far as you have them at the beginning, I'll say it again. I hope you are correct for the sake of mankind, because then there's going to be literally no excuse for when, if you're right, when they get killed, and then, all abyss is unleashed on this earth over the last 3.5 years of the Great Tribulation. They're not going to have much of an excuse. So, and I don't think they're going to have much of an excuse, because even ongoing, there's still going to be this supernatural battle. I believe there will be believers all throughout the world with some supernatural giftings. And so either way, it's going to be a pick your side. Which entity do you want to serve?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why God sends them, is to really draw that line in the sand and say, okay, dwellers of earth, this is it, And, once again, God wants to give us the medicine as a remedy so that he can get us out of darkness. And obviously there's going to be the powers that be that want to hold on to the status quo. They want to hold on to this world of darkness and disease and death because it's all they know. They think it's the greatest thing ever, and they're afraid. And God's like, well, like it or not, I'm coming back. Okay.
And we're not there yet, but I also believe this is going to be a major time of repentance for his people.
Yeah.
In other words, no, you need to unlearn these 1900 years of lies. I mean, I've been listening to, I forget Tom's last name. He's the Torah class. He's going through Acts, and he does a great job of going back in. I just forget his Tom Bradford, maybe at Torah class. I was talking to Ed today, and I said, Tom's a lot like Doug and Halissa. Y'all are all like Poindexter geeks that love to get in Bible. I mean, no, that's a compliment, like Halissa is a self-professed dork. She loves to get into the ancient writings and she loves to dig deep in them. You love to do this. You enjoyed it. I'm not saying you love writing books, but you love the research aspect of it. Tom also, like when he's doing the teaching on Acts, you can tell just from what he's teaching from, like he would have looked at some commentaries. He would look at like the oldest commentary on Acts, and he really brings these things to the forefront, because what he was trying to show is how Acts was almost hidden because it was just too Jewish for the early church. Because it's showing them keeping Sabbath. It's showing all of and he uses the term Jewish. I would say Hebraic. It's too biblical for them.
Yeah,
because your church, because he still uses that term, and I don't think he does not fully understand that to be a Gentile is to still be a pagan. You can't be a Gentile disciple of Yeshua. It's an oxymoron, and he's still like he's not. I would love to talk to him and maybe have him on sometime, because he's not a prophecy teacher, but he gets into prophecy and he just went through Revelation. I think he would be an excellent guest to talk about. With.
Here's Christopher. The Board of Peace has executives that are not part of countries. Well, I'll tell you, if it is the Board of Peace, then that certainly has some big implications for the man that started the Board of Peace.
Well, yeah, that and myself and Jaron, it's going to be an interview for anybody that wants to join us. Jaron Lewis from ASC Network, and I'm going to live stream it, but we're going to host Tim Cohen. I think in the next week or week and a half, and it's going to be more of an interview. I'm not saying I won't press with some hard interview questions, but Jaron's going to interview him, ask questions. I'm going to interview, ask questions, as opposed to more of a round table. So I'm going to preface it with anybody watching me that's going to go, this is not the normal type of roundtable show. We're just going to let Tim present his case for Chucky. So he still thinks that Chuck's back behind the strings, pulling on Trump's chain, and he's pulling Jared Kushner's chain, and he's pulling Tony Blair's chain. But it should be interesting for everybody to listen to.
Entertaining, at least.
If you've never listened to Tim, he is 100% confident about everything. And I like him. I love talking to him on the phone.
All right. Well, I'm not quite sure what to say about that, but
Tom is an excellent teacher. He understands what happened with it. He understands the distinctions between Israel and Judah, but he just doesn't really understand I don't think, or has not seen the full implications of remaining a Gentile. So,
yeah,
very, very good teacher, especially if you like the scholarly approach to teaching through the book of Acts or Romans. So,
all right. So let's see here. So ultimately, we're not quite sure we don't know who these kings are. I think that they could be demonic in nature, but they could certainly have a human face to them. Beyond that, I think we're all speculating. And even that is speculation. So an angel said to me, the waters that you saw.
Wait a minute, you missed a good verse there. They will make war on the Lamb.
Okay.
And the Lamb will conquer them. So there's nothing to worry about in the long run, for he is the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And those with him are called and chosen and faithful. So
yeah. And that's, it's a very important verse, because this really shows us. We see this in chapter 16, that the whole world is coming to make war against the Lamb. We see it in Revelation 19. They're coming to make war against the Lamb. We see it here in this chapter. They're coming to make war against the Lamb. What does that tell us? That the world knows what they're getting into. The world is delusional because they think that they can actually beat Jesus. The way that they have done that, in my humble opinion, is that they have convinced themselves, or Satan has, that, yes, Jesus, God of the Bible, real, very, very real. But they're advanced beings. They're aliens. They have evolved. You've evolved. You've now become a god. You too can become like them. You can become as powerful as them. Just let me help you. I'm going to help you with this thing called my mark. And then you can be a god. And when we unite, we can fight them and defeat them and maintain our way of life. I think that is the strong delusion. And what could be more delusional than thinking that the whole world can come against the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords? I mean, it's delusional. I mean, that's the whole point there. So, yeah, we see many places where they're coming and they know what they're doing.
Well, I like this. And the angel said to me, the waters that you saw where the prostitute, so we're seeing a distinction here, where the prostitute, the harlot, is seated, are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages. So the way I understand that, the harlot, the prostitute, is obviously different than the beast. It's this, and that's where Doug and I differ a little bit. I see the prostitute, harlotry, all throughout Scripture as only applying to His people. Because
I disagree. So
I know you do, I know you do. But
and the talking about Babylon, bro.
And the 10 horns you saw, they and the beast will hate this prostitute. Why would the beast hate actual satanic mystery Babylon? Why in the world would that ever possibly happen? What he's going to hate is Christianity and all of its flavors. He's going to hate it because they have the testimony of Yeshua. He's going to hate Judaism because, again, they have partial truth. Why is he hating on his own religion, Doug? That's a question I would love to hear you answer.
Fair enough. You know,
I'm all ears right now.
Yeah,
He's going to hate his own religion.
Well, I mean, you're a fisherman, so obviously you know a whole lot more about it than I do. But I know enough that you have to put a worm on a hook, or you have to put some kind of a lure in the water to get the fish. Once you have the fish on the hook, you don't need the lure anymore. And that is essentially what Mystery Babylon, going all the way back to Babylon. Remember, Nimrod is the one who started Babylon. It was the gate of the gods. But how do you get mankind seriously interested in this? How do you get mankind to say, yes, we will give you all of our birthright and we will give you everything? Well, you somehow hook them. You give them what they want. You tempt them with something. And the woman that rides the beast is the lure. She is the shiny object that mankind says, ooh, we got to have that thing. But once you have mankind on the hook, you don't need the lure anymore. Then you can take off the mask and say, hello, this is who I really am. And that system becomes redundant. It becomes something that we don't need it anymore because mankind has already signed on. Mankind has already signed our covenant of death. There's no getting out of this. So we don't put on we don't have to do Disneyland anymore. You know, we don't have to do make believe anymore.
What is now Disney? So you believe there's going to be a final end times religion, and then so a Catholics unite and Muslims.
No. I wouldn't say that. That.
I'm just who's the harlot then?
Well, again, I think the harlot is alive and well right now.
Who is she then?
Her mission?
No. Who is she? What is she?
Well, I would say it's more of like a world system, that this is all the glitter and gold and things that are shiny that get us to turn away from God. It's the white paint on the sepulcher. It's it's a white paint on a tomb, right? It looks nice on the outside, but it's dead on the inside. And once you've become chained to that tomb, you don't care about the color of the paint anymore. So the woman that rides the beast is the facade. She's the lure. She is all the, whether it is emotional temptation or it is financial temptation or whatever temptation you want to imagine, that's what the woman represents. And that goes all the way back to the founding of Babylon. And once, like I said, once humanity signs on the dotted line, then she's no longer needed. Then you can take off the pretty mask and say, okay, here I am, Satan, and I'm a bad dude, and I don't care about you. But now you're stuck.
I'm in agreement with you that there's a trick here. But here's what I'm getting at is, especially with Roman Catholicism and her daughters and what you see in it, there's no doubt that it has major elements of Mithraism all the way back to the Babylonian mystery religions. Like, we're coming up on a day in 2 days in which the Roman Catholic Church decided to sprinkle some magic fairy dust on it and turn I forget how to pronounce the Latin term, but anyway, the little Cupid, in other words, the feast that happened at this time of the year in the ancient Roman Empire, they took a little, they basically Christianized it. So they took a pagan feast and they Christianized it. They did the same thing with Ishtar and they made it Easter. So again, you've got this. And again, I'm not throwing out Judaism or Islam or anything like that. I'm not throwing out Hinduism or Buddhism. Mm-hmm. So it would be all these false religions would be part of this prostitute. But my point is, the only, like Ezekiel 23, Ezekiel 16, and the prophets, the only time that I see, really being called a harlot is when it's talking about his people. Not because the pagans have always just been pagans. They're not cheating on God by mixing in these pagan religions, whereas that's what his people have always done. They've always done it. There's nothing new under the sun. It's rinse, wash, repeat for both the house of Israel and the house of Judah. And so I see this, again, this beast is going to trick people with a religion, I believe, that a false Messiah type, in which it's going to be so deceptive that even the elect can be deceived if possible. So that's going to be a lot of the Jews and a lot of Christianity, especially those that believe we're, like amillennium, and they're really not looking for a lot of literal fulfillment. The post-millennial view that we're going to take over the world for Jesus. I can see how those people are being set up to accept a false Messiah because they've been taught to ignore the literal aspects of Scripture. And so, but ultimately, there's, like you said, there's a switcheroo. We agree on this. There's going to be a switcheroo. You just think it's some switcheroo of, I still don't understand really what you believe this harlot is, because that's going to be the ancient religion. In other words, worship me, whether it be Nimrod or whatever, worship me. That's the beast religion, demanding worship. Somebody put it, brother, demanding worship of himself. No more Roman Catholicism, no more Protestant religion, no more of this. Worship me. And God's going to use this to judge these harlot systems. The beast is going to be used as a system of judgment.
I agree with you. It definitely will be used to judge the, false religions, again, the deception, the facade. That's all this is basically, probably the best word is a facade, that the woman that rides the beast has a mask on, or you could even, I don't get too deep into analogies, but I've shown that picture before, right? Where the woman is riding on the back of the beast, and it looks like she's maybe in charge, but really he's in charge. She is just the pretty thing you look at, and you kind of forget what's below that. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is she is the mask that the beast is wearing. Once he's got everyone where he wants them, he rips off the mask and say, I don't need this stupid mask anymore. Because then, again, I think this goes back to the covenant of death. This is where all authority over every tribe, tongue, and nation is bestowed on the beast. It is, we see it in Revelation chapter 6, where the fourth horseman, right? That the fourth horseman, the death, right? He's got authority over 1/4 of the earth. As I've explained, that is 1/4 of the surface area of the planet. And all humanity, because they sign on with this contract of death, they come under the authority of mankind. And once you have everybody signed up, then you don't need to put on a show anymore, right? Everyone is already committed. There's no getting out of it. And so that's why she's no longer needed. I mean,
Well, and I put this up here by, and I've not noticed Ann Behola posting anything, but I would 100% agree. And there's no doubt that this final beast will also be pagan. It will be of the nations. It will have zero to do with the Israel of God. And I ain't talking about the modern nation state where gay parade brides are running down the streets in Tel Aviv. I'm not talking about modern day Jerusalem right now, which is under the control of parts of it are under control of Jordan. I'm not talking about all the idolatry. Doug and I were talking about this earlier. Walking around Jerusalem, you are in the pit of the prostitute's house. There is idolatry everywhere. There's the moon for Islam. There's all the star symbolism and everything for Romanized Christianity. And then you've got the star, and it's not the Star of David. It's a hexagram. It's in ancient pagan cultures all over the place. It's not new. It's nothing new under the sun. We're told not to worship the sun, moon, or the stars. And you've got these three monotheistic religions with all their idols all over Jerusalem. It just happens to be located in the current nation state of Israel, in which Judah has been gathered back. But there's no doubt that the final beast system is going to be through and through pagan, through and through heathen, through and through of the nation. Definitely not going to be the Israel of God, because only those that are in covenant are the Israel of God.
I think what this comes down to, though, because you keep trying to shoehorn Babylon as Jerusalem, and I just don't think that's at all the case. I mean, I think God is coming to save Jerusalem. He's coming to wipe out Babylon. Or maybe
you wanted to ask me that question. Go ahead and ask me the question so I can give you my answer.
Okay, well, is Jesus coming to save Jerusalem or to destroy her?
Yes.
He's coming to destroy Jerusalem.
No. You asked the question, is Yeshua coming to save Jerusalem or destroy it? My answer is yes.
He's coming to destroy Jerusalem.
No, quit that.
Well, I'm clarifying what you're saying, counselor.
No,
I want to know what you're saying.
Save and destroy.
He's coming to destroy Jerusalem
and save.
Well, which is it?
You're not going to be able to put words in my mouth.
Is he coming to save her or destroy her?
This is my profession. You asked the question, and I answered yes.
Well, I'm trying to understand your answer, because you're so slippery.
You're so slippery.
I'm objecting to your answer. I think your answer is bunk. I think you need to take a stand and decide if Jesus is coming to save Jerusalem or to destroy Jerusalem.
I think yes, both.
How can it be both?
Because Jerusalem as it exists now is not going to exist in the millennium.
But aren't all the nations coming to destroy Jerusalem?
He saves them.
He saves who?
Jerusalem, and it's also destroyed.
So, but wait, when Jesus is coming back, what's his purpose?
Right. The people are going to flee through Jerusalem. The people are going to flee through that big old Mount Olive Canyon.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But isn't he coming to fight on behalf of Jerusalem?
The people, the city's going to be hit toast, man.
Well, I'm not necessarily talking about the infrastructure.
Okay, well, I am. The people are going to get out of Dodge if they want to survive.
You really think that this is all about infrastructure?
No. You're actually trying to put words in my mouth, and you're doing a poor job, because I just answered the question that the people are going to flee through the Mount of Olives. We agree on that. You don't want to be in the infrastructure when Yeshua returns. You want to be headed out on the new highway. So.
All the nations will gather against Jerusalem to battle. The city will be taken, the houses plundered, women raped, half the city go into the exile. Yeah, it's gonna suck, man. Yeah. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations as when he fights on a day of battle, right? So he's coming to fight for Jerusalem. And this is where I think He'll destroy it while saving it.
Exactly.
I think y'all are nuts.
Ingrid, you are a genius.
No, I don't think so. I think you guys look. You don't. Why put this on Jesus that he's coming to destroy it? It will already be mostly destroyed. I think we can all agree that Jerusalem is going to be in shambles for the most part. However, I'm not talking about saving the old city of Jerusalem. I'm not talking about that.
I'm not either.
To fight for his people.
I agree.
Well, okay. So why say that he's coming to destroy it? I mean, I just don't.
Quit saying he's going to destroy Judah. He will save Judah, but Judah's not Jerusalem. Jerusalem's a city.
Right, and he's coming to fight for Jerusalem.
No, he's coming to fight for Judah.
He's coming to fight. Well, the people. Oh my gosh, Scott, you're being a little obtuse right now. You're being very obtuse. All right, and you are.
I'm being a lawyer.
You're being obtuse, Mr. Lawyer.
Don't get upset now just because I don't agree with your theory. Okay.
No, you're just trying to be.
I'm not.
Just hard to work with. That's all. Because you don't want to concede right here. But your theory just paints you into a theological corner.
I would love what chat says, because so far it looks like you're actually losing in chat. So
I could care less about chat.
You ought to care about what people think.
Well, I love them. They're great people.
Okay.
However, what you have though is that if you start commingling Jerusalem and Babylon and just saying that they're just kind of it's a crossover. I mean, God is so clear that he's coming to fight for the people of Jerusalem. He's coming to make her glorious. He's going to, his shout will go out from Zion. And then we're told very clearly that Babylon is going to be utterly, completely destroyed, annihilated, sent to the bottom of the ocean and all that stuff, like a great millstone that's going to be thrown out there. Like, see, Jerusalem is she sinful? Yes. But she's a wife who blew it and needs to be corrected, whereas Babylon is a perversion that should never have existed. There's a very clear distinction between these two. And you keep making it all fuzzy and wishy-washy of, well, it's kind of the Roman Catholic Church, and then it's kind of the Jews, and it's kind of Jerusalem. I just think you should pick a side and go with it, because it sounds like preterism, where Jesus came back in the death clouds of the Roman army to destroy his people.
At least be intellectually honest in trying to argue your point. Don't ever accuse me of preterism.
Well, but that's what it sounds like, my friend.
No, it doesn't.
That's what it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Yeshua came back in 70 AD, Doug. Why aren't we even talking? I mean, there's nothing to be fulfilled. Josh, that's silliness. You're right, reaching at the bottom of the I can't think of
I'm not. Barrel. I'm not, because but that's what they say is that
Thank you. Hey, look,
Jerusalem.
Doug, is there going to be
a 70 AD or 2070? It doesn't matter.
Is there going to be a new Jerusalem? Yes or no?
Pardon?
Is there going to be a new Jerusalem? Yes or
no? Yes, of course there is.
Okay, so what do you think happens to the old one?
Well, again, the infrastructure.
It's just like out in the ether now, or maybe it gets destroyed.
But that's not what you've been arguing, Scott.
Yes, it is. Gosh, you're like so passionate about this that it can't be Jerusalem that you're not even thinking. You're not.
No, but it's not just look, what happens to Jerusalem. We know it's going to suffer a lot of infrastructure loss. Clearly, there's no question about that. It's the intent of who is he.
We agree on Judah. Judah is a people, not a city.
Right. Agreed. But when you start using the language that's talking about Babylon, where he says he's going to utterly destroy Babylon, you don't even think that Babylon's going to be a real city. So what the heck is going to be destroyed?
No, it's not.
What is going to be destroyed?
City. Nobody does except you and maybe one other person that I know of.
Well, so what? But
okay, so now you can be in the minority.
I've been in the minority on many things. But look, whether Babylon is rebuilt or not, I'm not staking out my whole claim on that. I tend to think it's going to be, but even if I'm totally wrong about that, and it's just a system, God still wants to utterly, completely, irreversibly destroy it so that it's gone. That's what he has promised to do. And we see that so many places. That's where I just think when you start saying that the great city is Jerusalem, I think you run into all kinds of theological problems.
Well, I would differ. I don't see Babylon killing any of the prophets. Yeshua definitely wasn't crucified in Babylon.
But where does it say he was crucified in Babylon?
Again, if you read Revelation, you start talking about the city where the prophets were
Yeah, the
killed.
great city that's like Sodom and like Gomorrah. We have clear
What happened to those
instances.
cities?
We
What
have
happened
clear
to them?
instances of where Sodom and Gomorrah are likened to Jerusalem, but it's never likened to Babylon. That's the difference.
Well, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. Let's move on.
All right.
And
All
guess
right,
what?
moving on.
It's not going to matter if you're right or wrong, or it's not going to matter for me either.
Well, I mean that's true, but the whole point the whole reason we are here talking about this
I
is,
know
you
we
know,
differ.
we're in. I mean, certainly, God told us to study the Bible. He told us to show ourselves approved. He told us there's a blessing in studying Revelation. That's why we're here in the first place. I mean, we could just say it all pans out for sure. I mean,
Jeremy points out that there's certain passages it'll be better for Sodom in that day, and I think that's for Capernaum, maybe not necessarily Jerusalem. So anyway, let's go to 18.
all right. After this, I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was made bright with his glory. And he called out with a mighty voice, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She's become a dwelling place for demons, a haunt for every unclean spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, a haunt for every unclean and detestable beast. For all nations have drunk the wine of the passion of her sexual morality, and the kings of the earth have committed immorality with her, and the merchants of the earth have grown rich from the power of her luxurious living. Then I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plagues. And sorry, and then where did I just lost my spots here? Come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her plagues. And her sin has heaped high as heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Pay her back as she herself has paid others back, and repay her double for her deeds.
Ooh, where do we see that? Where do we see that about this double repayment? Who's going to drink the cup of her sister? Let me think real quick. Ezekiel 16. Can we go there now, please? So scroll on down, or is it 2023 is where the double is? This is just talking about Jerusalem. This is not the two sisters. Ezekiel 23.
Okay.
And so if we scroll on down to, I don't know, let's get to about verse 25 or 30. Let's see. Yeah, keep going down to 32. So there you go. You have gone the way of your sister. Therefore, I will give her cup, the cup of Israel, into your hand, Jerusalem, Judah.
Mm-hmm.
Thus says Yah, you shall drink your sister's cup that is deep and large. You shall be laughed at and held in derision, for it contains much. You'll be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, a cup of sorrow and desolation, the cup of your sister. You shall drink it and drain it out. So they're going to drink two cups.
Right.
Double.
But in Isaiah, God says that you've paid double, right? So he already says that you already paid. So
they haven't paid yet.
They haven't paid?
No, they have not paid yet. No, just like the house of Israel has not fully paid yet. No. Yeah, right now Judah's a widow. They're not even, unless you're a natural branch that has faith in Yeshua. You're a dead, broken off branch. You're not even in covenant. You're a widow. You don't have a husband. Unbelieving Judah has no husband right now, just like divorced Israel had no husband in covenant with Yah. So again, you get this widow language. You've got double cup drinking. I don't see that applying to anywhere for ancient Babylon or Nimrod. It's applying to his people, and come out of her, come out of her, my people is not talking about just the commercial system. It's talking about everything. It's talking about the religion, the politics. We were talking about politics today. You got falsely accused saying you can't even be a Christian if you're not a Republican. Like, moron much, and I'm talking not Doug moron much, but those people that think that you have to be a Republican to be a Christian. Just be nothing, avoid the leaven of Herod.
Right. So Isaiah 40, verse 2, starting 1, comfort my people, says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and cry to her, for her warfare is ended, her iniquity is pardoned. She's received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins.
Mm-hmm. That's yet to be fulfilled.
That's yet to be fulfilled.
Yes.
I see.
Keep reading.
Well, so if she's
no, verse 5, and the glory of Yah shall be revealed. All flesh shall see it together. Now, who's the preterist now? Seriously, you're not saying that was fulfilled. It has not been fulfilled. There's no way you can make that argument and read the rest of that chapter with a straight face.
Right. So you're saying that because Babylon in Revelation 18 is going to get, she's going to get paid back, right? It's fallen. You're saying that applies now to Jerusalem.
Well, again, Jerusalem did fall. It's fallen like twice already. I know it fell in 586. It fell again in 70-ish AD. It's going to fall. It's going to fall again. We know it's going to fall again. Now, Yeshua is going to save it at the very end.
Yeah,
that's what didn't happen in 70 AD. Doug.
So let's go back to the text here then, because it says it's going to become a dwelling place for demons, every haunt, every unclean bird, detestable beast. This is true for Jerusalem, that it's going to be a place for the demons?
It's getting replaced by New Jerusalem, Doug. You actually believe this. I used to think you were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for thinking that New Jerusalem came down at the beginning of the next stage. Old Jerusalem is ceasing to exist. It's getting squished. It's getting squished like a bug.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's where obviously the New Jerusalem, the Jerusalem from above, who is our mother, Paul uses this and talks about the current Jerusalem being like the allegory, using it as a slave. So again, I don't know why it is that you don't think that these false religions that are in Jerusalem cannot represent the harlot. Okay, because that's what they are. They're false religions, and the world's eyes are on Jerusalem. That's the hook in the jaw. That is why all the nations are paying attention to this little piece of land, and Yah is using Judah and the hatred right now that's only increasing towards this nation state and toward Jews in general. We're seeing, you talk about bait, we're seeing the bait being set by Yah. I mean, this is the trap, but it's for repentance, it's for judgment, and it's ultimately at the very end for salvation.
Mm-hmm. So how is Jerusalem going to be thrown into the sea like a millstone?
Oh, Jerusalem's not going to be there.
So what is being thrown into the sea then? What's the great city?
Again,
all this stuff. Like, is this all
allegory? You think he's going to pick up Babylon literally and toss it into the sea like I would a rock? Seriously, Doug.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, I think it's possible.
So Jesus is going to pick up a city and go, okay, I'm throwing you over there in the sea. Come on, man. There's a lot of symbolism,
right? She's going to be burned in a day, right?
I think Jerusalem's not going to. Jerusalem's not going to survive. Well, who's a widow right now?
We're agreeing, but it's the reason for the destruction. I would suggest that the beast and Satan, they bring lots of destruction upon Jerusalem. No doubt about it. But this is very personal. God is still ticked off. He's very ticked off at Jerusalem. Not Jerusalem, but Babylon. Jeez, he's infecting me here. But I just don't see how this fits. You have all these things. You have so let's see here. All this stuff, gold, silver, jewels, pearls, fine linen.
Yeah,
and then you got the human souls. Is there trafficking that's going on, or you're suggesting?
Oh gosh, yes. Did you not read the Epstein files?
Well, that's in America. We don't need to go any further.
No, it's not. It's worldwide, and it's got a lot of.
I know. But again, to be specific here, we know I'm not stupid. I know that there's human trafficking happening, and it's disgusting. Okay. However, I mean, you're trying to pin all this on Jerusalem, and that's where I'm pushing back.
Again, it's what it represents. It's what it symbolizes. It's the false religions and the blended religions of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. None of there's nowhere else in the whole entire world in which, like the Vatican, it's all Christian. Mecca, Medina, Mecca, it's all Muslim. Jerusalem's got all of them in. It's like a big old hodgepodge porridge of Babylonian religion, all mixed into one city. But again, what you're ignoring is, you're ignoring where Jerusalem is called a harlot. You're ignoring where Jerusalem is like, I won't sit as a widow. They are widowed right now. Judah, as a corporate house, is widowed. They are. I mean, I'm not being mean. They are. So there's so many things that fit. Like you were going over the elements there, and you start looking at probably what will be if and when they rebuild the temple. I think you're going to see these things in a third temple to be built.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to see all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know, what was that guy's name? I know you don't like him because he wrote a book, but I've read it. It's been years since I've read it, but he did a great job on this particular passage, 11 and 12 and 13, showing
or somebody else.
No, he was arguing that it's Jerusalem, but he did a great job showing how these
Chris
elements.
White, maybe? Was it Chris White?
Yes, that's it. But he did a great job showing how all these elements are and were within the tabernacle temple of ancient, Israel, and I believe this, again, we're not talking about necessarily Jerusalem right now, Doug. We're talking about Jerusalem at the end of the age, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I didn't stress that enough tonight, but the elements are all there for Jerusalem to become Mystery Babylon in all of its not glory.
Okay. So basically, you're suggesting that some future iteration, the ultimate iteration of Jerusalem, will take on fully the identity of.
I believe it's going to be the center of the world commerce. I believe, for instance, London right now is the financial center. DC, sort of the military arm of Rome. The Vatican, sort of the religious arm of Rome. I believe they all get centralized into this final beast system, Jerusalem. And then the beast doesn't like her, and the beast is used to judge her. And she's going to be centered out of, I believe, Jerusalem. Not New York City meets a lot of these little elements. The Vatican meets a lot of these elements. The city of London. What's interesting, not about New York City, but about DC, you have all three of those those cities that are all little sovereign nation states almost. If you start to study Washington, D.C., I mean, it's sort of its own little country, sort of not its own little country, but like the city of London within London, it's its own little sovereign thing. Just like Vatican, it's not part of Italy, it's its own sovereign thing. So you have these three, of religion, military, and finance in the Vatican city, the city of London, not London, Greater London, and Washington D.C. It's just, I don't think it's coincidence that there's three of them like that, and they kind of run everything. But ultimately, behind the curtain, I believe Rome's done a good job hiding behind the Jewish bankers. They're really the bankers of Rome. But they've done an excellent job hiding behind them. And again, I don't want to appear to be anti-Judah, but there's no doubt there are people like Epstein was Jewish in name only. In other words, because his mother was a Jew, he was part of the synagogue of Satan. Okay. That man was satanic to the core. There are the largest owner of porn in the world. He bought like Pornhub or something like that. He's a Jew. A lot of these people that run Hollywood and put out this filth, they're Jewish only in name, Doug. They're not. They wouldn't be mistaken for a Reformed Jew or a conservative Jew, much less an Orthodox Jew. They're Jewish by
name
bloodline.
and genetics, certainly.
They're
Right.
Jewish by bloodline only, and yes, those individuals that definitely. I'm not talking about the local rabbi down the street, or even the Hasidics, or devout observant. I'm talking about those individuals. They're wealthy as all get out. And again, I'm not throwing Jews under the bus. I'm talking about Rome. I'm talking about, wealthy agnostic or atheist people. So this isn't just about, but it is interesting when you start to see who owns things. That's not anti anything. That's just a fact, And I believe it's getting getting worse. So yeah, and Anna, I'm sorry, sweetheart, but replacement theology. I'm an Israelite, and by no means, you may be new. Doug and I don't believe in replacing Israel at all. We believe we're placed and grafted into Israel along with Judah and the natural branches, and that at the end of the age, when Judah repents, they too will be grafted back into the singular olive tree. So you're apparently new if you think Doug and I teach replacement theology. It's almost comical by now.
And of course, check out God's Divorce if you want to get deeper on that God's Divorce, the Bible Said in Love story that brings all that. And by the way, guys, I wrote another book. It's kind of gotten orphaned because I've been busy, but Ancient Rhythms for Modern Hearts. And you can get this on Amazon. This is kind of a how book, whereas God's Divorce is a why book. And so this is, if you're new to keeping the feast, this is a nice, easy way to get into it. So,
well, you want to try to finish, or just do another verse or two, and then
we can do another verse or two.
Yeah, I'm tired. Thank goodness my trial got settled. I'll have to tell that story one day on air. The other lawyer literally called me. He didn't get it, but he kept on referring to me in emails to everybody as I was his adversary. And we settled the case, thank goodness, because in closing, he represented a local ministry. I was going to say, that man over there has called me his Satan. And then get a shocked look and then explain that that's what adversary means. That has been my Satan, but we got it settled, thank goodness. So,
well, I have to say this. I think it's interesting that wrestling with your theory, what you're suggesting is Babylon is not really Jerusalem, but the end times Jerusalem will be so taken over and infected that they become almost a zombie. And so he's not mad at Jerusalem. He is wrathful at Babylon, the system.
It's the whole system. It's everything. In other words, right now, Babylon is worldwide right now. She's got some major tentacles and power structure in Jerusalem and Mecca, in London, in Paris, in Moscow. I mean, everywhere. So again, I don't look at this as just particular. I just believe at the end it all congeals together. I mean, people can make a strong case for New York City right now, as far as some of those. It's a port city. Anger's like Scott is hot Satan, but yeah, I was literally referred to my adversary. So, and it's pretty funny. What are you, Scott? Are you the Church of God? I had a jury trial this week, and that's what the other lawyer asked me during voir dire, if I was Church of God. I'm like, where did you get that idea from? So yeah, go ahead and read.
Well, I think, there's passages. I kind of understand your logic, but I can't really get on board with it because
you don't have to.
I keep seeing all these other passages. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me to bring good news, to grant those who mourn in Zion, to give them beauty and for ashes, etc. And then he goes on. I mean, this is such a beautiful passage here, but of course, in the next chapter, he says, "For Zion's sake, I will not keep silent. For Jerusalem's sake, I will not be quiet until her righteousness goes forth as brightness and her salvation
New Jerusalem,
as a burning torch."
Right? New Jerusalem.
Well, you know.
We agree. We're not talking about the Jerusalem
Yeah,
in the
I
next.
know, but it's the commingling of the term that I think it's really fuzzy. You shall no more be termed forsaken, and no more termed desolate, but you should be called my delight is in her, right? Beulah, and etc. So, yeah, certainly the New Jerusalem is in view. We're agreeing on that. It's just I think that the current modern day Jerusalem, the ancient Jerusalem that has been around for 3,000-ish years or more, is also in view. And I just can't say that has ever been called Babylon, but I see what you're saying. So we'll have to all just wait and see in the end.
It's not going to matter. And again,
Yeah.
that's what I like. Doug and I have gotten to be friends enough now that we can actually passionately argue. And Doug knew I was not like. I've had people go, "Man, you're yelling or you're mad." I'm like, "No, I'm not. This is not mad. This is just me making a passionate argument for something, And just because just because my tone is a little more animated does not mean that I'm the least bit mad, or upset or anything. Sometimes it's okay. So my friend like Doug, he's just wrong, and it's all right.
Yeah. Well, we all have our moments.
Well, he can think I'm wrong, and I don't care. And you know
Yeah.
what? On this issue, it really doesn't matter whether or not it's Jerusalem. It doesn't matter if it's literally a rebuilt city, as Doug's main theory is. It doesn't matter if it's New York City. It doesn't matter if it's a worldwide system. It's going to come down, and the beast is going to be used to judge it, and then Yah is going to judge the beast, and then Yeshua is going to reign, where we were back in Daniel 2 earlier, or in Daniel 7. In other words, those kingdoms of the world are going to become the kingdom of Yeshua.
Yeah.
He is destroying everything, as Halissa likes to say. He's not rebuilding on the political system, the religious system, the financial system, the entertainment system. He's not rebuilding on the athletics or any of these things that we get from Greece and Rome. It's all coming down. It's all being destroyed.
Yeah.
We can all get on board on that. I mean,
for sure. And all infrastructure, because it says in Isaiah 2, every great tower is going to fall.
all the skyscrapers are probably coming down.
Oh yeah. So goodbye Burj Khalifa, and there's no real skyscrapers in Jerusalem, but there's some, tall-ish buildings, kind of.
Tel Aviv has them, though.
Right. Yeah, Tel Aviv has them for sure. But so exactly what constitutes a tower is an interesting question. But anyway, well, we will continue next week. There's so much more to dig into. Thank you guys for joining us, and it's fun as always. Till next time, God bless you guys. Stay in the Word. Have a good evening.